Bungie. A lot of people have been a fan of him for more than a lifetime. I mean, who could hate the legendary makers of Halo? The answer's me. I used to love these guys too. I would even call my past self a Bungie fanboy. But the year is 2022. I've been jaded by war and pestilence. So before I figuratively and literally tear this company a new asshole, let's have ourselves a quick little history lesson. Acquired in the year 2000 by Microsoft and renowned for their work on Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, and Halo Reach. But then in 2007, Bungie announced they were leaving Microsoft due to creative differences and a bad relationship. The employees were supposedly so happy that they were popping champagne and partying to celebrate, and so Bungie was an independent developer for 3 years. They were then acquired by Activision in 2010, which owned the rights to their new IP, Destiny. Destiny was released in 2014 and was generally well received, quickly becoming popular. Then the expansions came out. The first two sucked dick, teeth included, while the last two gave some pretty sloppy and experienced head, making you want to come back for more. Everything seemed to be sailing smoothly until Activision said, this franchise is succeeding. We should order a rushed sequel. And so a rushed sequel was created in what is known as Destiny 2. Destiny 2 didn't have a lot of content. What it did have was a massive cash shop called Eververse. It was received just about as well as you'd expect. Then the Dawning event was released and it turned out it would cost $600 to buy all the items. And when some information came out that Bungie was actively sabotaging the player base by cutting the XP gains that gave cosmetics from the shop, things got even worse for them. And after a first horrendous DLC and a second mediocrely bad one, Bungie was on the ropes, until they were saved by a third DLC, Forsaken. Forsaken was a really good DLC, co-developed by High Moon Studios. Good gameplay, good content, good news stuff, and most surprisingly, a good story. Then in 2019, Bungie announced they were leaving Activision due to creative differences and a bad relationship. The employees were supposedly so happy that they were popping champagne and partying to celebrate, and so Bungie was an independent developer for 3 years, before they were just recently bought by the one and only Sony PlayStation. This all sounds very, very familiar, huh? But hold on, we need to discuss what happened in those 3 years they were independent. They released 2 DLCs, both lacking in content and generally mediocre. They released a transmog system that had been wanted by players for years and made it a lengthy, grindy process. One that could be skipped with just a few dollars from the cash shop. They decided the best way to balance the game was to take away 2/3 of the previously grinded weapons in a move they called sunsetting. They decided the best way to keep the game under 150 gigabytes was to remove 2/3 of the previously paid for content. That's right, they started removing shit you previously paid for. It was then revealed that the workplace had abusive executives, horrible crunch culture, and didn't allow employees to work freely. Then Bungie said they would be selling dungeons separately from the seasons, as opposed to what they'd been doing for the past 4 years. And how much were these dungeons going to cost? Well, the dungeon that was sold to celebrate the 30th anniversary event of the company was $25. A normal expansion is $40, though if you buy the deluxe edition, you'll get all the dungeons and all the seasons for the next year, all for the low price of $80. So, I hope you see now why I no longer like this company. And now that they've been bought by Sony, I won't lie, I don't see things getting any better for them.
But hold on, they publicly stated they would be keeping creative freedom.
And Blizzard said the same thing when they merged with Activision, and just look how that turned out. But why am I making this video? That reason is I actually used to love them. I used to hang on to every word they said, look at every release with bright eyes, defend every fallacy that they had. I want them to go back to their former selves, to the Bungie I used to love. And while I can hope and be patient, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Now get the hell out of my house. How'd you even get in here?
Joe Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden. This message from Muhammad Khanaqin for Festival Kurdistan for you, Joe Biden.